Have you ever felt like you were being watched when you knew you were alone? Tonight's story might make you question what's really lurking behind your walls. If you love horror, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more terrifying stories. The house stood at the edge of a dense woodland, its presence a silent anomaly against the encroaching trees. It appeared almost forsaken, a structure deliberately abandoned by time and circumstance. I discovered it through an obscure real estate listing, underpriced, minimally advertised, as if those who handled its sale wished only to be rid of it. The realtor, an elderly woman with eyes that carried the weight of too many unsaid things, handed me the keys without ceremony. "No one stays there long," she murmured as I turned to leave. That I dismissed her cryptic warning. Solitude was what I sought. After the dissolution of my marriage, the oppressive weight of urban existence had become intolerable. I needed escape, space to think, to breathe, to be unknown. This house, with its warped wooden floors and faded wallpaper, was to be my refuge. The first few days were characterized by an unsettling stillness. No birdsong, no rustling foliage. Only the whisper of the wind and the occasional groan of old beams settling into themselves at night. I awoke frequently, disoriented by the sensation of movement within the walls. Rationality dictated that it was vermin, an infestation of rats perhaps. Nothing more. The initial sign that something was truly amiss occurred on the fourth night. A faint creak stirred me from sleep. My bedroom door, which I had shut before retiring, now stood ajar. That I lived alone. Heart pounding, I conducted a meticulous search of the house. Every lock remained secured, every window undisturbed. Yet, discrepancies emerged. The salt shaker had relocated. My books, once methodically arranged on the nightstand, lay scattered across the floor. Then came the voices, whispers, barely discernible, hovering just at the periphery of my hearing. Stress, I reasoned. Isolation fraying the edges of my mind. But then I found the note. A single, yellowed scrap of paper slipped beneath my front door. "Do not let it in." Its meaning was elusive. At the time, I did not understand. Determined to uncover the house's history, I ventured into the attic. Amongst dust-laden furniture and forgotten relics, I discovered them. Journals belonging to the previous occupant. The initial entries chronicled an unremarkable existence. Musings on the mundanity of solitude. Observations of the changing seasons. And then, a shift. A descent. Something lives within the walls. It watches. It moves when I sleep. That I should have ignored it. The later pages were frantic, the ink erratic, sentences disjointed. That I let it in. Now I am it.as I absorbed those final, deranged words. A sound reverberated through the walls. Knocking. Slow. Measured. I froze. Then, in the silence that followed, the unmistakable cadence of breathing. Not mine. Compelled by equal measures of terror and compulsion, I followed the sounds through the house until I found it. A door previously unnoticed, concealed behind a weathered bookshelf. It was nailed shut. With unsteady hands, I pried the boards loose and stepped inside. The air was dense, stagnant with decay. Against the farthest wall rested a solitary cot, its sheets torn and stained. Scattered across the floor were fragments of paper, aged and brittle. The stench, something organic, something long dead, clung to the room. And then I saw the walls, hollow. Something had been living inside them. The knocking escalated that night. I barricaded myself in my bedroom, every muscle rigid as the walls themselves seemed to pulsate, an unnatural rhythm that defied logic. Then, from the consuming darkness, a voice, low, ragged, barely human. "You freed me. Now you will replace me." The bedroom door exploded inward. I ran. The house resisted my departure. Doors refused to budge. Shadows twisted unnaturally along the walls, elongating, reaching. The thing pursued, its movements grotesque, as though it operated beneath an unseen force, a marionette controlled by the ineffable. I wrenched the front door open and plunged into the night. Heedless of direction, sprinting until my lungs burned and my legs threatened collapse. When at last I dared to look back, the house loomed in the distance, dark, patient, silent once more. I never returned. A week later, in an unremarkable motel miles away, I assured myself it was over. Then, as I stood before the bathroom mirror, the fluorescent light flickered, and within the dim, distorted reflection, it waited, smiling, whispering, "You freed me." Do you think the entity was truly freed, or is it just waiting for its next victim? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, check out my other horror tales. Click here for more nightmares.